Well, okay, so that's a great segue, right? Because look, I've been fucking
I'm the
with
realest one here. Like, you know, don't tell me like the computers is no good to write.
Okay, so now I want to ask you because I'm all right. I wouldn't consider myself a writer, right? But I have these ideas in my head, and I've been fucking with ChatGPT,
Okay.
and it's a very interesting tool. Now, fucking with it. Now you came to mind because I know that you're a writer. You're really a writer, and this kind of, it's really like a cheat code in many ways. ChatGPT. I have basic ideas in my head of something, or maybe I have ADD that I might just go from one idea to the next idea, and I never really flesh it all the way out. Whereas with this, I could put in a few ideas, and it helps me flesh it all out. So I just wanted to know, like, what is your take on?
I never used it.
You've never used ChatGPT?
No, but I don't want to. I don't want anybody to help me.
Okay.
Because part of the headache is putting it together. That's part of what makes it genuine to me.
Okay.
I need to put it together the way I see fit. Also, too, I see it the way, you know how much I'm big on Miles Davis, everything. And Miles Davis, he used to diss Ornette Coleman, who, it's unfair because Ornette Coleman is great, but he used to say, like, he don't even know how to play right. How could he break the rules if he doesn't know how to play right? So I always see that, like, you have to know the rules so good that you could break them. So, like, I wouldn't want some type of algorithm that could try to figure out the way I'm breaking the rules.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't think that...
yeah, it's not good for that.
Yeah.
It's not good to, like, kind of...
Because a lot of things, like, when I write, though, autocorrect is horrible to me. Especially on the text, it's horrible.
Yeah.
I need to break rules. I need to do it different. I need to, you know what I'm saying? So,
Well, I mean, I find it useful. Like for instance, I might have a few ideas for a treatment of a music video or something like that. So I can just put in like a few ideas, and I don't, maybe I might be a little bit too lazy to turn it into actual real treatment. I just throw it in there, and it just puts everything in its proper. So, but what it's called now is more like a you would call it a prompt engineer. So you know what a prompt engineer, you know what prompts to put into it. You know how to guide the algorithm or guide the technology in a way that it actually responds to you the way that you want it to be.
That sounds so evil.
That's what I figured that you would say that.
Yeah.
Sounds evil, but it's a very interesting tool. A very interesting tool. I mean, at least for me, like I said, I'm not a writer like you. I don't have that discipline of writing in that fashion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it gives me like
I mean, I try to use tools like. I also think this is a thing I haven't said, but like, I think everyone should have a dictionary. It sounds crazy because we always say that, but like, not just an online dictionary, but an actual physical dictionary. You can use an online dictionary, but you can only look up words that you need to know. You cannot find words in a dictionary.
Right.
So like, it's good to have a great dictionary because sometimes I'll look through the dictionary just for words. You know what I mean? Like just the words that sound good or appeal to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like for example, I love using acronyms. Like not acronyms, but alliterate. I love to alliterate a lot of times where you're writing words in sequence, but they all start with the same letter. Or deeper alliteration where it starts. It's almost like the beginning rhyme, where like the beginning is starting out with the same couplets of letters. And like for example, you would need a dictionary for that, to find those kind of words like that. You know what I'm saying? To look through the A's, the B's, And certain writers, I'm trying to remember his name. Ernest Hemingway, he wrote a book on writing, and he said this so like bougie, but he was like, if you haven't read the whole dictionary, then you're not a real writer. Like he actually expects you to read the whole dictionary. Like, and for him, that's probably meaning knowing all the words. Like, so he saw it as like a field of operation. If you don't know all the words, though, how you writing? You know, I haven't been able to read the whole dictionary, but I love that concept. You know, because now
Malcolm X read the dictionary.
Right.
According to the story, right? And his language elevated, you know.
Oh yeah, enormously, yeah. You know, and of course, reading is the best cheat for that because you're gonna get words written in context, so you get it faster. You know what I mean? And of course, the digital books are better because you could have a library inside there too. You could write your notes in there, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of digital stuff that I love, you know. But I don't want any help like that. Two things I use, right? Dictionaries, of course. So if I write rhymes, though, sometimes I will use a rhyme dictionary. I will use a rhyme dictionary. Like I want to know.
I mean, so that's like almost the same thing then.
But it's like, but no, because I'm still choosing the word. It's not being chosen for me.
Well,
like
kind of.
There's a difference between a word being suggested for you than seeing a whole list of words that go. So if I open a dictionary and I say I want to alliterate with the letter B, then I'll be looking at, let's say I want it to be a BL word, I'm looking through the BLs. It's kind of the same thing. I'm getting an idea of words though, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes if I use a rhyme dictionary, or look up a word, I may not even use that word though. You know what I'm saying? So it's just to see more choices and stuff. So the writer has to do all he can though to give himself more choices though. But my problem is the direct suggestion. Because with what you're saying is not only suggesting words but suggesting style. Or being almost able to continue the style that you were trying to go for. And that's the thing. I want to be able to veer against whatever style I might be going with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'm just trying to think because the way this artificial intelligence as is really like a collection of a whole bunch of different styles, and I think it recognizes that, and then it's like, okay, you're speaking like this. Okay, we're gonna continue to write like this. You know, so it is very can be it's a little daunting, you know. Yeah. But I was really wanted to come talk to you about it because I know like you're against that. Like it's almost like
for a writer, yeah, I'm definitely against it. I think that I have so much stuff I've written. If I inputted it, it could probably make something that would sound like me. Maybe I would even like it, but then I would be mad if it came up with some shit that I would write.
Oh, so you would be mad.
I'd be mad. You know what I'm saying? So then, why would I put myself through that anger?
Or better yet, let's say you take a paragraph that you've written and then you input it into it and you say, turn this into a three episode series. So that's what I find is useful at. You see what I'm saying? Like you can turn it, like, all right. But you got to know what to put into it. You got to know. You got to get the direction.
You could put things into a different format.
Right.
But that's part of the work, though.
Yeah.
You know, and like that difficult brain work is stuff that I would like to do. You know what I'm saying? Especially on the creative level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think professionally, like if I was putting things in different professional formats,
Peace.
I would definitely like to use that, but not creative stuff. Peace is God.
Peace God.
Everything is peace, God. Alright. Talking about creativity, and one of the most creative walks in.
Peace already. How you doing?
How you doing? Doing well. Yeah, I definitely want to get your take on this conversation that we're having on. I don't know. Have you ever messed with ChatGPT?
I have not, God. I've been
another probably purist, right?
Yo, you know what, God? Like honestly, I've been introduced to it. My cousin came over and sat with me and told me about his experience with it, right. and my black woman told me about it too. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And she had been dabbling in it and using it to get a lot of things done. Right. I've been skeptical about that since it was introduced. But at the same time, I see some of the value in it. I see how it could be beneficial in certain regards. I just see a lot of things happening within the world that are making people peace.
Peace.
That are
Yo, it's
making,
phony, right?
Yeah.
I put it in the front, the front table.
Peace.
I see the world like kind of leaning too much on machines in general.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you know, it's
But these are tools that
These are tools, and
you can't get caught up in tools like this.
yeah. I mean, you know, it's something that has benefits, and it's something that that also has setbacks too. You know, recently is a couple of lawyers that got into some trouble because I think like they had ChatGPT prepare like their opening statements and things like that, and it causing some major problems in the courtroom. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say too much, you know what I'm saying, until I really get my hands on it to really utilize it. But so far, I've been a little hesitant. I got introduced to it, and I do see some of the benefits.
Right.
So, you know, when I get my second back online, my laptop, I might explore with it. But I'm also like in my head about actually having that presence like fixed on my devices as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I fucked with it, and I do see the value, right? I see that. See, I'm not a writer though. You know what I'm saying? I don't come from that discipline of actually being, like having that penmanship like that. But you know, I do have like a lot of ideas that flow through my mind, and sometimes like capturing those things and then fleshing them out might be maybe a little bit of a challenge for me, right? So what I do is I might take it, an idea, and I can put it into it, and it'll help flesh it out for me. Like for instance, like let's say if I had like decide to do a music video with you, right? And I know the lyrics, I know what it is, and I know okay, this is what I see. I jot those ideas now, and I could just put those random ideas and say, turn this into a treatment for a video, and it will outline it for me. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
So it's kind of like like it's a new term that's coming out called being a prompt engineer. Knowing
I'm
what
familiar.
right,
I'm actually
being, right,
familiar.
right. So being a prompt, so you know how to
Know what questions to ask.
right, and know how to input the prompts. You know how to. So it's not like. I mean, it is doing something for you. It's a tool, but it's not doing it all for you. And you got to know exactly what direction you got to give the direction. You know what I'm saying? You're the.
I appreciate that, Aaron.
You're the founder of it, as opposed to it being founder of you. You just got to see it that way.
I get it, and again, I see the value. I know and understand that, in a certain sense, this has already been done.
That's peace out to you. Look forward to hearing it.
For a long time now, just off of how we're using Google and things like that too.
Right. It's a glorified Google.
Right.
Yeah.
So I see that too. At the same time, I see the value. Like if we had a project we're working on, a music video, just as an example, since you just used that, like one of the things that I've been seeing a lot more value in and being more grateful for is actually having a team, having a group of brothers and sisters that could do the same thing that ChatGPT might do, just with the human touch and with the sense of actually knowing me a lot more personally, to be able to really create what is needed, right? Because and not to take away, I think that tool, from what I've already seen, like it's extraordinary what people are doing with this tool on all levels. I've seen some really dope graphic design work. I've seen some folks use it to write books and do a couple of things too. I would love, it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. It's a huge cheat code. And that's the thing though, right? Because as a creator myself, I'm working on a book. I'm working on a couple of things. I can't see artificial intelligence. I can't see putting my ideas into that machine and make it come out for me. Like it's gotta come. It's a certain kind of satisfaction and a certain kind of connection that I have with that story and me telling it. So you know what I mean? Like I'm still a little hesitant to use it in those regards.
No, I could dig it. No, I wanted to bring it to him, because He's the purist.
I already know what the guy's gonna say. I already know what the guy's gonna say.
He's like, nah, I'm not, but you mentioned like some of the tools that you do use, right? And I would liken it to that as well. You know what I'm saying? Like it's similar to that, although it is a
well,
cheat
like
code.
for example, right? If I write a rhyme and I use a rhyme dictionary, right? I still had to figure out the first rhyme.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get.
And I still have to select it and see how it goes, because words could rhyme though, but they don't fit the flow either. Mm-hmm. Words that rhyme don't always fit the flow. Like they actually could fuck that up. So it's difficult. Also too, like just the reason it sounds purist is, but people see me have all these books though. I've been writing this heavy for half my life. You know what I mean? So put that work in though. Fuck. You know what I mean? You're gonna put something out that just punch this shit out. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
it's terrible.
It could be that, but I think that like for instance, was it like editing a book or something, right? Or editing something, like it helped you do that.
But I get paid for that too. And people hire me to edit something to keep their voice. And if you got a machine that's keeping people's voices and shit, that's my job.
Yo, you see even
the sounds of capitalism.
Nah, but like even with that, G, because it's like, when you got to call up to deal with customer service, dealing with credit cards, different companies or whatnot, and you got to use your voice already, like to do that, like that's always been an issue for me. I much rather deal with a person. I don't like the idea that my own voice could be image or whatnot could be then manipulated and flipped and used, and it ain't really me, right? Yeah. So that's something that's always in the mind when it comes to this.
Intellectual property.
Right, God, right. You know what I'm saying? Because like we've seen a lot of stuff now where it's like, oh yeah, here go Biggie spitting prodigies versus whatnot. And I'm like, I'm not really with that. I'm not really with that. I don't care who's endorsing it, but I think it takes away from what was originally created, right? And then look, the example that the God just used, where he's been writing and compiling his intellectual property for years, and the way that he writes is very unique, right? Absolutely. I could see maybe the computer being fed information so that it can mimic or create something similar. But look, he put in a lot of work to be able to churn out project like that. The more that you do a couple of push-ups, like the more you're able to do as you build your body. And it's the same way with what he's been doing with his craft and his art. So, for somebody else then to just come along and then have this cheat code and then be I don't know, even made to look like it. It's an even playing field. Like that's not something that sits well with me.
Well, and I agree with that. I'm just saying as a tool, like so that all the work that you have, you can contextualize it a certain way. You know what I'm saying? In different ways. Like I'll say, well now you can say like, all right, well I have these poems, I want to put these poems into a book. Or I want to do it this way, or I want to turn it into a movie, or like you see what I'm saying? It's you can take the same
on
thing.
On a technical level, maybe, but on a creative level, I could never see it, because even the transfer of credit. Because look, we're talking about making music after all those years, writing about this stuff here, right? That's what makes it more genuine to me. That I spent all these years around, you probably couldn't find another person that has ever made an album after being with that many artists. There's probably nobody in the world that has been around hundreds and hundreds of artists and then made albums. There's only a few. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few. There are a couple though. But not in this genre. You know what I mean? But the all of that particular work though gives me a whole. It's not just one style, it's many styles.
Yeah.
And then it's also the style that wasn't done yet. Right? KRS-One shit. The style you haven't done yet, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I write, I could be going back and doing it the way I did it in 2000, or I could be doing it the way I did it in 2004. Like people will read, if you read the Peace Corps book, right? You're reading the way I wrote bills in 2003. And then more creative builds in 2003. If you, I don't write like that now.
I think,
you know what I'm saying?
I think again, like in your case, God, is something really unique, right? Because even in today, like there are a lot of artists, up and coming artists now, that don't really have a connection to the past. Just like all things, right? After a certain passage of time, is somewhat of a disconnect from the root, and so that then produces a different kind of art within itself, right? And so right now, being the fact that you spent so many years coming at this in a pure way, and documenting and studying. That's why, like, and even in how you're describing what you're covering and what you're examining, like the depth, the detail, the different technical aspects of things. There are not a lot of people that look at it through that lens or study it in that lens. So now, when it comes time for you to actually create and be a creator in that realm, like you're going to stand apart from somebody that hasn't been doing that kind of diligent studying and appreciating the art in that kind of way. And so, you know, it's the same way where you got DJs that I mean, they DJ for years and then they all of a sudden become a producer. They have a certain kind of ear for music, and so they shine. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I think that this is what also applies to you too.
Yeah, yeah. The experience of things, like, could never accumulate the experience. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I am grossed out by it though.
No, I knew you would. I knew you would, but I'm just saying to consider it.
I would be grossed out if somebody took all of my books, funneled them into a program, and said this would be his next poetry book. And I would be
that's whack. That's whack.
Disgusted by how corny that would be. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I'm just thinking like, no, but instead of somebody else doing it, you being the engineer behind it, of how.
Let me tell you how. If I wrote the way I write, you guys know me. If I did that, I put my works and said, make a poetry book out of all this poetry I have and everything.
No, I'm not saying that.
And construct a new one. Let's say I did it and I put it in there.
That would be kind of.
Then I would take that book though, and I would never publish it, but I would work and outright that book. And then that would be the whack book. Like, I still would be like, fuck you, and I would try to outright the book that was using my own shit. Like, you know? I could never let it stand.
I liken it to like the Industrial Revolution, and as we know, at this point in time, there are a lot of problems that came out of that. However, it also sped up production, and I guess that's what this is. It's like it speeds up production, but there is a shit.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that is kind of fucked up.
If Mecca did this.